Hi, everyone. Welcome to Authentic Expressions. The focus today is breaking the habit of constant comparison. So, looking for you to log in and be sure to post your question. Great, I see some familiar names. So, again, this live stream is sponsored by Laurel Ridge, and I'm going to read their announcement about their services. So, Laurel Ridge is a behavioral health program that offers compassionate care for every stage of life. It provides personalized treatment for all populations. Their interest is to help you into your journey of wellness. There are services for children, adolescents, and adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. They offer both inpatient, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, and residential treatment. Call 210 491 3591 at no cost for no cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, and create hope. All right, welcome. I see some familiar names. Glad you're here. So today's topic is breaking the habit of constant comparison. And that seems to be a common issue. So I would love to hear your questions and we can look at ways to break this habit of constant comparison. So welcome, Zach, Cheryl, Brittany, Dora, Leah, and Claudia. So nice. Good to see familiar names. So let's see. Day one podcast. Hi. Yes. Tell me your name. All right. So, what are some questions that you might have related to dealing with comparison or competition? Because our society is very competitive. How has it affected you? And let's look at some questions that I would love to answer. Okay. Brittany goes. Although it's natural to compare yourself to something, all okay, at what point does it become an unhealthy state? Okay, very good point. Comparison, and then at what point does it become unhealthy? So comparison, pushing yourself to do your best is very healthy. It's needed because then we challenge ourselves. Some level of competition is healthy, but when you spend a lot of energy worrying about how you can beat others, how you can become the best in the ranking, rather than enjoying what you are doing, but the focus has been consumed with being the best and consumed with hyper competitiveness and always about beating others and also doing things not for yourself but for other people. That's when you lose sight of what your mission is. So that becomes unhealthy. Whatever you do in life, work towards enjoying what you are doing. Are you doing it to make sure your parents are happy, your children are happy with you, that you're meeting the demands of others? If you find yourself in that thought pattern, it's probably not healthy when you are doing things for other people. And learn to focus on what makes you fulfilled rather than what makes you, you know, being the best. Your competition should be more about you, going to the next level for you, not to beat other people. Claudia goes, how can we differentiate between healthy motivation and harmful competition? Very good point. Very similar to Brittany's question. So healthy motivation is about pushing yourself to meet the next target, to meet your next improvement. So you are comparing against yourself and you are motivating yourself to challenge you to be a better version of you, to be an improved version of you. And it's, it's not about beating yourself up when you fail to meet that milestone. It's more about, you know, you are looking at skills that you can improve. Like even if you're working on counseling skills, you go, okay, I need to focus on asking open-ended questions. I want to focus on connecting with my clients. And sometimes when you do not do as well, don't focus on beating yourself up, but focus on let's try better. Even with children, it's not about you failed, but okay, let's look at how we can improve. So the focus is on improvement, is a positive energy rather than, well, you did not meet the bar, so you failed. So it's a very defeating attitude. So when you work with children, think about, okay, so assess the situation. What do you want to do different? What is one thing, not 10 different things? Because when they focus on 10 different changes, 5 different changes, it's overwhelming. So in any change, like I said earlier, just focus on one change, one effort that will take you to the next level. So make it about your journey and not about beating other people or making yourself shine so that, you know, you meet the bar for other people. Okay, Cheryl asks, how can I guide teenagers dealing with comparison and insecurities? That's a great question, and it is very pervasive in our world where teenagers they use external mirrors as their guide. They often look at what the world is doing and then they mirror that behavior. So it would help to get them to shift their focus from external to internal. Look at what is important to them, what drives them, their fulfillment, their expectations, their mission, their vision. So I would shift them towards what fits their mission and their vision in life and to focus the conversation on those and make it more about their internal motivations, their internal drive, and take out the external comparison. So if you can have them think about the mindset rather than don't do this, don't do that. So in any shifts in comparison, it is a mindset focus. So they are very hung up on being the slimmest, being the best in this. So what are some different words, that is synonymous with best? So like other words like being fulfilled, being happy, being content. So introduce different vocabulary, different words into their daily dialogue. So it's not about always being the best because best is very comparative, it's very numerical. If you're not the best, then what are you? So I would like to introduce a range of words that talk about, what makes you more fulfilled, what makes you more in tune to who you are. So Leah asked, how do I stop comparing myself to others academically? Very good point. I find myself shying away from what I want to pursue career-wise. Very good question. So even in an academic journey, a professional journey, remember you are entering into that profession because you are interested in it, not because you are doing it for to fit your parents' expectations of how you should finish your journey, your career journey. So look for your own script and look at how fulfilled you feel when you are in your field. Look at things that you can do that is more about bringing you purpose, bringing you more closer to your intentions, bringing you closer to your transparency, your congruency. So traditional words like meeting your goals, meeting your academic performance, tends to be very numerical. It is very about, if you're in this profession, then it's more acceptable. If you're in another profession, it's less acceptable. So think about what makes you more fulfilled and be very intentional about moving towards what makes you satisfied in that field. Again, when you introduce a variety of words rather than the traditional words of, you know, meeting my goals, my milestone, my benchmarks, then it is more about meeting emotional needs, fulfillment, rather than just career explorations that our society pushes very hard towards. Okay, EK, welcome. Bridget, glad you're here. Patricia, good to see you. Patricia asks, what daily habits or practices can we celebrate our own achievements without compromising them to others? Great question. So I'm going to reread it. What habits, daily habits, practices can we celebrate that focuses on our achievements without comparing them to others? Awesome question. So in your daily habits, often look at, again, the intentions that drive you to reach your internal satisfaction. So do habits, if you want to tweak yourself and take out habits that are unhealthy, go to the other spectrum. What healthy habits do you want to develop? And when you develop from, let's say you want to stop being critical, you want to be more complimentary, you want to be more compassionate. So think about one thing that you can do to show yourself compassion each day. And things that you can do on a daily basis, it could be by putting a reminder on your mirror, putting a reminder, a flashcard on your, if you're driving, put it in your car so that you trigger your brain to go a compliment. Don't always be so ready to criticize because that is part of your comparison. I'm not good as, I'm not good like, I am less than. So this self talk diminishes us, it robs us, it depletes us. So if you think about, when you have air condition on in the hot summer, you certainly do not want to open all windows in your house because that's very depleting because the air will keep running and the cool air will keep going out. So the same thing with comparison. Remain focused. You don't have to use external mirrors to be your guide. Use your internal mirrors as to what makes you more fulfilled. You want to take out criticism, you want to put in compassion, you want to put in compliment, you want to put in acceptance. So move towards what you want rather than what you are not. Because when you focus on what you are not and the less than, it's still very comparative. All right, Brittany, welcome. So your question is, what strategies can we use to shift from comparison to celebration, especially when it's like others are advancing faster than we are? Very good question, because society is very driven. It pushes us to keep going, to be like others, to so when we become like others, we are not like ourselves. So the reminder is, take out what others want for you, put in what you want for yourself. Because when you finish life journey, you want to reflect and say, I did my journey well because I focus on moving towards my intention. Yes, our society is always pushing you to be like this person, this role model, these figures, this salary range, this body image size. the house that we live in, the cars that we drive. All these are very comparative. But remember, if we spend energy being driven by externals, then we have less energy focusing on our internals as to what drives us. So in counseling, in working with clients, be it children, teenagers, adolescents, adults, we want them to be reflective, look at what their intentions are, help them be more true to themselves rather than be true to what other people want. Because you do not want to spend your life draining your energy being like somebody else. Because when you finish your journey, you still have not met your goal because you have not become like that person. So your job is to create an image, a version of you that is a fulfilled version, that is more about reaching your intentions. So use new words to guide you in your journey. Put the mirror more towards your heart, your soul, rather than allow other people to drive you. So be more reflective internally. Okay, Lindsay, welcome. All right, Happy Habitat. What a wonderful name. Welcome, Kwame. All right, Lindsay asked, is there an average amount of celebration or reward per week or month to help with own accomplishments instead of comparison with others? Okay, I like that you focus on the celebrations and the rewards. It's very healthy to think about implementing reinforcements, implementing acceptance, implementing positive reminders into your life, because those are things that will push us to the next level as we work on ourselves. So it doesn't have to be frequent. It could be a personal acknowledgement. Hey, I did that session well because I use these questions. I put forth effort to do this. I focus on this. So that itself is a reward and reinforcement. So it doesn't have to be tangible. So rewards can be very is in the form of affirmation or an acknowledgement or a pat on the back, because we often look for accolades from other people. But remember, it is within your power to give yourself pats on the back, because we want to work towards you being more reinforcing towards your own behavior. So know what milestones you want to reach related to your own growth, your professional growth and your personal growth and your financial growth. So you probably have these visions in your own personal diary, meaning your own personal headspace. So always be focused on what you have done well and focus on complimenting yourself, being compassionate to yourself, being empathic. If you have a rough week at work and you perform less than, give yourself grace rather than go, geez, I failed again. So focus on what you did well. The level of accomplishments or the level of reinforcement, it depends on you. So I would think of reinforcements in terms of verbal reinforcements as well, not just tangible rewards. All right, Dora, welcome. When a person constantly tries to compete with others, how should we handle that? Okay, another good question, similar to what was asked before. When there's a lot of competition, I want you to think about, is it driven by insecurity? Is it driven by a script that was said to you way back in your childhood or way back in your adolescent years that you should be like so and so? If you're not like so and so, if your body size is so different, it should be like this. This is the template. So if you still use those to guide you in your growth, then it might be time to reevaluate it to see if those templates are necessary. Because in your adult years, it's important for you to carve out a template that fits you, not just fit what society wants, what the community wants, what the your profession wants. In in your own growth, learn to carve out a template that is specific to you, that is about reaching what is fulfilling for you, not just what fits society's model, what fits the social media model. Because if those are your templates, then it still is driven externally and is still driven by insecurities because we want to do what is acceptable by society. So the more congruent you are to your own intentions, to your own mission and vision in life, the happier you will be, the more fulfilled you will be in your own journey. So think about, if you remove insecurity, you want to put in what? If you remove comparison, you will put in what? So EK, great, great question here. How do you have a healthy comparison towards coworkers when your employment promotion is based on performance? Yes, yes, yes. Yes, all workplaces, have a ranking system. And so how do you have a healthy comparison? Again, similar to the last question I answered. When you go into work, you want to develop your goals, develop your intentions that drive you towards the assignments that are interesting to you, the assignments that define you, not assignments as defined by the company. Because when the company has certain vision, you as an individual can also create your own vision that may complement it. So you want to find your uniqueness in your field so that it's not about meeting other people's schema, other people's template. Because if you are, then you are just a good follower. If you learn to create a schema, a template that is unique to you, your interest, then you will gravitate towards what makes you more fulfilled rather than do things to meet the markers that is set by the company. Because if you spend energy trying to fulfill what is important to you and your mission, you will get there because you are connected to that goal. So learn to connect to things that are meaningful to you and not just robotically meet milestones that the company has set for you. Because whatever we connect with, there's an intimate drive to then reach that, to meet those desires, because you have a vision in your head, so that's more true to you rather than meet the missions that's what true to your boss, true to your supervisor, true to the company. So learn to reflect on what is true to you rather than just dash in and do what others expect of you. When you take time to reflect and you discard things and you put in things that's true to your mission, that becomes more of your personal journey. Okay. All right. GM. Most unhappiness in life is due to comparison. Yes. Comparison, competition, unhappiness is due to that because we are the wrong weight size. We, don't fit that certain people's mold, other people's mold, then we see ourselves as less than. And that's very unhealthy. And if you do that repeatedly for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, then you kind of get further and further away from who you are. So always get closer and closer to who you are internally, to who you are in your mission and your intentions. That creates a healthy headspace. Okay, welcome, Felicia. All right, GM goes, how can we help parents understand the importance of not comparing children's, comparing children and their siblings? Yes, this is, oh, Garland. Welcome. Great question, Garland. So how can you help parents understand the importance of not comparing children to their sibling group? Yes, yes, yes. Um, Many parents, you know, they fall into this trap of wanting the siblings to be better. But in being better, it becomes a more, I want to beat the other person. Again, when the energy is about beating the other person rather than following your mission, then there's a very unhealthy thing. So make it about nurturing a child's uniqueness, nurturing their specialty. Make it about being true to who they are rather than do the standard, template of be like this. Because we're all unique, we are like snowflakes. There's no one, two that are similar. So same thing with children, even in twin sets, they're all very unique. So again, drive yourself away from the need to follow a standard template. Because when we use templates, then children will move towards that and be that. And then it will also drive them further and further away from who they are, their uniqueness. So spend more time help them celebrate their uniqueness. Um, Again, our society is so driven by external visions, external goals that from the get-go, we want our children when they're babies, infants, have they reached a certain milestone? Have they reached a certain weight, a certain height? You know, everything is about milestones. So by the time they're 2 years old, they are compared to all the other toddlers in their age group. So learn to slow down, learn to be reflective, learn to enjoy each child for their own uniqueness. So that is a reminder that parents need to focus on. All right. Brittany goes, do you have any stems or prompts to help reduce comparison? Awesome. Great question. So the prompts to reduce comparison is to live a fulfilled life, I will. To help me follow my intentions, I would like to see myself. Understanding, being compassionate with myself means that when I reduce criticism, I will. When I put in self nurturing, I will. So use these stems, and then you can use the same stems for a week and see what shows up. Because every day or every week, if you do that a few times a day, then different answers will come to you. It will, when you focus on that, use the same stem, different answers will come to you, and that's your way of deepening your connection to yourself. Many times we're so busy fulfilling what others want that we disconnect from ourselves. And that's very unhealthy, and that's part of toxic behavior. Because by the time you turn 50, 60, you are so far, so departed from your own mission and vision. So always, always be in tune to who you are, because that will help you celebrate you more. So make life about celebrating you. Okay, these are awesome questions. I Let me do one more question because our time is up. Okay, Julia, thank you for joining. So your question is, how does comparison play out differently in individualistic versus collectivistic cultures. All right. Again, collectivistic cultures are very, um, I think the focus is more about collaboration. Individualistic culture is more about doing what fits your best interest, doing it to win for you individually. So it is important to, even in our change from competition to collaboration, think about how you can work together, because our society doesn't teach much about working together. It's more about winning for you. So these are the things that you want to think about. Jill, welcome. I agree with you that we have attached our mission and how we find our mission. Yes, maybe we have detached from our mission. So it's important to learn to be connected to our mission and our intentions. All right, I want to do a closing quote, and I want to share that with you before I leave. So these are by two unknown authors. Self-talk is the most powerful form of communication because it either empowers you or defeats you. The next quote is, what you tell yourself every day will either lift you up or tear you down. So the second one is very powerful. Again, it says, what you tell yourself every day will either lift you up or tear you down. So you get to make that choice. And I hope that this week that you will spend time building you up, being true to your intentions and following what your heart says um, says about what you ought to do. So focus on what your heart prompts you to do. Don't worry about what other people say or do, because in nurturing your unique self, you need to step out of the box and focus on nurturing those thoughts. Thank you for joining this session. I love the questions. They are very deep and it's very thought-provoking. So before I close, next week, the topic is, why do I always blame myself? Well, a different version of comparison. Why do I always blame myself? Come with questions, and I would love to answer your questions about self-blame. So before I take off, again, I'm grateful for Laurel Ridge for sponsoring this live stream. So the services provided by Laurel Ridge is for children, adolescents, adults, military dependents, active duty service members, veterans, and first responders. They offer inpatient services, outpatient services, substance abuse treatment, and residential treatment. Call 210-491-3591 for no-cost assessment. Laurel Ridge is open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Their mission is to save lives, heal families, create hope. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. Hope you have an awesome week and focus on being compassionate to your intentions. Have a wonderful week. Bye.